Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Is that good? Welcome back to the show. So listen up, we back in the game. Sweep the league, we got the flame. Motivated to the fullest every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Working it two in the global inspiration. Talk this sports and top news, no hesitation. Sweep the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that STL Music, mama, we did it, where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Every rock stats, we united. The best show, Monday through Friday. If this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy. When I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
Sweep the league teams, evil legends collide. If the Cowboys fall short, we'll still ride the tide. Like Jordan in the clutch or Brady's last play, we bring the fire, keeping fans in the fray. Coach Gio and Marie calling the shots, with Derek coming straight Hall of Fame thoughts. So hit that subscribe, don't sit on the bench. Get in the game, every highlight's intense. The live stream's on, tell your friends don't delay. Like Kobe in the fourth, we're here to play. Sweep the League TV, where greatness resides. From the blogs at the drives to my homes on the rise. We're all in on sports, NBA, CFB, and more for fans. Live fans, it's the show you'll adore.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Sweep the League, the Wacky Wednesday edition tonight. Sorry, guys, we started a little bit late and got a little bit of something that come up here a little while ago. We're going to be with you just for a short time tonight. It's going to be myself. It's going to be Coach Gio. We're going to be coming to you from the MCS studios here at Sweep the League Network. Be sure to go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, hit that subscribe button so that way you don't miss out on Sweep Unplugged, Grading the Market, STL 316, and the big show, of course, Sweep the League TV. Amongst everything else, let's bring him on here, the coach himself. Welcome him back here, Coach Gio. What is up, man?
Hello. Back in action.
Back in action, man. Loving it. The whole crew, the original crew, going back and forth here with the banter that everybody loves. Man, yesterday I went in on Draymond Green. I went in on the whole All-Star weekend. I basically just took a big old turd on it and gave my 2 cents on it. I want to get your perspective on All-Star Weekend.
I actually watched it, which I normally always tend to forget it, Rudy. I'll watch bits and pieces of it, but I did watch the 3-point shootout, watch a little bit of that, what is it, the D-League versus the regular
Rising Stars is what it is?
Yeah, Rising Stars. The slam dunk was... it was fine. I mean, Rudy, they gotta figure out how to get some big names in there, man.
Nobody wants to do it.
Nobody wants to do it. At this point, Rudy, how about you just get professional dunkers? Like guys who actually, do videos and stuff like that. How about you get some of those guys who actually, will...
That's what I said.
I mean, you're a slam dunk champion, and no disrespect, Rudy, but he's in the D-League.
I mean, you may as well go get Jordan Kilgannon or some of these other guys to do a dunk contest if you're going to get a G Leaguer in there.
So, and no disrespect, because he does try. Like, he's doing some creative stuff out there. The All-Star game, it was all right, Rudy. It's nothing spectacular. The NBA needs to give the NHL a call. See if they can copy some of the things they're doing, because hockey right now.
I've seen that a lot today. What is the whole point? What's the whole thing with that, with the NHL? I haven't really read into it yet.
Well, hockey it's watchable. And what they do, Rudy, I think right now, if you ask a lot of people who watch both sports, not just, you can't fake hockey, Rudy. you can't half-ass out on the ice. That's a sport that you really need to be all eyes in. The NBA, really, how many times do we see it? Guys out, guys don't show up. You're having these gambling things going on with players just doing unspeakable things. But the NHL, I actually have watched some games this year, Rudy, and it's very enjoyable to watch. It's hockey. There's no kind of fluff about it. The NBA is just, it is hard to watch a lot of these games. And I've been watching the NBA, I'm not trying to show my age, but I've been watching it for a while. And the basketball today, Rudy, at times, besides the playoffs, because, you're watching just because it's the NBA playoffs, but it's not very involved. But hockey right now, people are watching hockey, and no one's watching the NBA.
3 fights in 9 seconds.
3 fights in 9 seconds. And Rudy, how about the NBA do a world game?
Well, that's what everybody's talking about. NBA versus the world.
How about you do that? They'll show up for that.
Do you think so? But what is the do you think they really would show up for an NBA versus the world? You're not getting a gold medal out of it. So I mean, you think they really would show up for something like that?
Maybe it's not as much as hockey. Rudy, that US and Canada, that was a brawl. I mean, that was a very physical match. And pride was on the line. Hockey, very different than the NBA because Rudy, I almost feel as if these guys are out there, they're warriors, man. And like I said, Rudy, you're not half-assing on the ice because you can get embarrassed real quick, and you can also get hurt. So, two different very sports. Draymond Green situation, Rudy. You're talking about the Oscar Robertson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Oscar Robertson talking about it, saying, Draymond just passes to Curry, and basically he's just a clown, man. I agree with Oscar. I'm not gonna lie, I agree with Oscar.
I'm not saying I don't disagree with Oscar. I did feel Rudy at the end there felt a little personal. It almost made me feel like he's trying to say, well, what has Draymond Green done? Look, for what you say about Draymond Green, I'm not the biggest fan of Green. Is he a product, Rudy, of getting drafted by the Warriors? Probably so. I mean, if he's with the Orlando Magic, Rudy, and his career, are we talking about Draymond Green?
Well, that's what I said last night. Without Stephen Curry,
Klay Thompson,
Draymond Green is just another player.
Yeah. So I mean, is he a subject of that? Yeah, but look, he's accomplished what he's done, and he's going to be in the NBA Hall of Fame.
He's not. Stop. Draymond Green is not a Hall of Famer. He's not.
I personally, I don't think he is, but he's going to get in, Rudy.
No, he's not.
Rudy.
What gets him in? What gets him? Oh, we seriously have this talk all the time about Hall of Famers. What gets him in?
I'm not saying that he's in my Hall of Fame. All I'm saying is he's going to get in.
How?
Rudy, his accomplishments
are what?
I mean, he's 8-time all defensive team.
Okay.
So 4 first and 4 second team.
Okay.
He's won defensive player of the year.
Okay.
He's a 4-time champion.
Okay.
As part of this run with the Warriors, he's a pivotal piece. He's a clog. He's the glue guy. Say what you want to say, Rudy. I agree with you. I wouldn't so much say he's in my Hall of Fame, but he's going to get in. The NBA lets everybody in the Hall of Fame. I mean, let's be real, Rudy. The NBA should have their own Hall of Fame, and then the Basketball Hall of Fame should be separate, Rudy. Well, I think there should be 2 Hall of Fames, the NBA being a little bit more difficult. But Draymond Green, Rudy, he's going to get in as a defensive kind of clog. Dennis Rodman's in.
So let me turn the table.
I do think Dennis deserves it, but
Dennis deserves it. Dennis was more than just defense. I mean, you're talking about, a guy that led the league in rebounding, was a pivotal player with championships for Detroit, championships in Chicago. But let me turn this around. Draymond's defensive accomplishments are all in the generation of no defense.
Yes.
So, I
Rudy, you're
mean,
preaching to the choir, Rudy. I completely agree. This era, who is he up against every night? A guy who can shoot through. Like it comes down to,
you have to just defend the 3-point line.
is he what is he a power? Is I guess technically a power forward, Rudy? Because I wouldn't see
Yeah.
him as a small forward. He's a point forward, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah,
In
he's a
his
point
time, Rudy, he's not going up against what Duncan had to go up against, what Carl, what all these other forwards. Every night, Rudy, Duncan had who? He had Dirk Nowitzki. He had Kevin Garnett. He had Chris Webber.
Rasheed
He had
Wallace.
Rasheed Wallace. I don't know if Antoine Jameson played the power forward, but he was a
Yeah, well,
forward in
no,
general, right?
forward in general.
So many guys. Draymond really, he didn't have it, but hey, he was that glue guy in that system. He worked for that system, and he was able to feed off of the shooting prowess of Klay Thompson, who once upon a time, he didn't have like 30 points in one quarter. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just crazy what fell in his lap. Because really, he's what, a second round draft pick, and in NBA terms, that's basically 7th round. I mean, let's be real, right? Like it's towards the bottom there. But kudos to him. He's found a way, Rudy, to stay in the NBA for a long time. And Rudy, I know what you're saying. I agree with you. Draymond's going to make the Hall of Fame. That's just what's going to happen.
I say, okay, so based off of the weak accomplishments that he's had, he makes it because of that. Does he deserve it? No, he doesn't deserve it. I mean, if you go, well, he's got 4 NBA titles. Well, Robert Horry has what, 7? I mean, he's not in the Hall of Fame, so you can't.
I will
really
argue if you're going to match up accomplishment. Of course, Big Shot Rob did. I mean, just amazing things in the court. But Draymond, hey, by hook or crook, Rudy, he's made 8 all defensive teams. That's still pretty impressive.
So if he's on another team, he's not. Does he have the same accomplishments as a defensive player?
As I just said, if he's on the Orlando Magic when they were terrible those years, if he was on that trust the process when the Sixers were terrible, no, he's not that guy. He's not putting Duncan anywhere to be successful. I know we talk about Karl Malone, Rudy, without John Stockton. Karl, I still will think have a successful NBA career. Draymond, Rudy, probably not. I mean, seriously, he's not that guy, and that's okay. He's fit his role. He's done what he's had to do in Golden State, and he's been able to accomplish. Rudy, can we say he's probably one of the most ultimate overachievers in NBA history? I mean,
overachiever.
I mean, yeah, Rudy.
Overachiever or overrated?
Well, he's overachieved in a sense where coming in the NBA,
he got lucky.
And then Draymond sees says, hey, bro, it's no disrespect. I'm just seeing what my eyes tell me. And he's not a generational talent. He's none of that. He does his role, and it's perfectly fine. He's a menace. He's annoying. But you want a guy like that on your team anyway.
Yeah, you do.
So,
what
Rudy,
process do the Sixers have, Gio?
That process is still apparently going on. I don't know.
Apparently, it's still going. I get what you said. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the process of George stealing money.
Well, it's kind of crazy because you got stuff that I was going to bring up too, NBA wise, but Draymond being a Hall of Famer, I mean, accomplishments. If you just list the accomplishments and you're like, okay, 4-time NBA All-Star, and I'm going through them now because I had to bring them up because I don't memorize, certain players' accomplishments. All NBA second team, so he's made 2 All NBA teams. It's All NBA second, All NBA third team, NBA defensive player back in 2017, 4-time All Defensive NBA first team, 4-time All Defensive NBA second team, NBA steals leader. Those are his accomplishments in the NBA to go along with 4-time NBA champion. If you were to put that on a list and say, does this guy deserve a Hall of Fame? You're probably saying, yeah, he has a Hall of Fame career. Number wise, I mean, not necessarily number wise. I mean, scoring wise, what is the average? Like, I think it was like, what, 15 a game, which you can't really go by scoring because, hell, dude, Reggie Miller's in the Hall of Fame. I think he had a scoring average of like 16 or 18 points a game.
Well, Rudy, I don't want to use the term inflation, but like with that NBA style of play for that time, I mean, Rudy, we know how slow those games were. Like, not everybody was running Don Nelson's offense, right? Like, teams were very slow. For Reggie coming off of picks in today's NBA, Rudy, I would say Reggie's probably averaging 24, 25 a game. Pretty
Maybe.
easily.
No defense, yeah.
Well, yeah, with 3-point shot too. Like, he's going to be shooting more of those.
So Draymond's career stats as of right now: 8 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game.
I like the assists. I think for
you got to find something positive. I don't understand
for
why you gotta
the
find something
no.
positive.
I mean, Rudy, it's as we've talked about. It's not pretty, but championships. He's made big plays. I mean, we've seen Dennis have 0 points and 20 rebounds before. It's just one of those things where you just turn your eyes. He does everything else, Rudy, that you don't necessarily see on the stats.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Tim's back in here. Was the process of Joel being injured every year? Probably so. I would think so.
I don't know. It's something going on with him. I don't want to talk. I'm tired of beating up on him, but
it's not that we're going to beat up on him. But I have a question for you on Joel Embiid because Tim brought it up. At what point do you just trade the guy? At what point do you just say, I'm building around Tyrese Maxey? I'm going to go ahead and move Joel Embiid. I'm going to probably move on from Paul George.
Probably. You are, Rudy.
Well, yeah, you should. But
Paul's just collecting that paycheck for his podcast. He's not doing anything, Rudy. He's really not. And it's a shame.
So what do? Do you cut him loose?
Rudy, why did they give him that extension? They didn't have to. What was the rush?
I have no idea.
I don't understand. Were you trying to make him feel bad because he's getting paid so much money? So he's particularly now the knee injury or whatever's going on with him. Look, that they're still trying to figure that all out. You know, he had that knee issue with coming into camp, I think. I don't know. It's just been naggy. Is it possible that he could have lost a little bit of weight? That could have helped. I don't know. Is he doing everything he can, Rudy, to get on the court? Something tells me he's not. And he had that thing where he's eating that McDonald's burger. Look, I'm not saying you got to eat right all the time and this and that. But listen, look what LeBron James has done, Rudy. That man has taken care of his body to the peak.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
when I see Embiid, I do not see that.
And that's the thing is, if you're an NBA superstar, you would think that you would put health and fitness, taking care of your body over everything else. It just seems like there's very far and few players that give a damn about, their body. And you're right, Bron spends a whole lot of money on it. Derrick Henry in the NFL spends a whole lot of money on it. You see the longevity of these guys. But Joel, yeah, I got a broken toenail. I'm gonna probably have to take a week off.
Yeah, he got hurt a few months ago, and then I see him doing handstands with his. It's just he does things like, dude, it's just not a good look. And I remember he had that. Him and Tyrese apparently clashed during the season because they made those comments about how he's not playing back-to-backs. And then you got also Zion, apparently, I believe, doesn't play back-to-back. That's a whole nother problem. But it's the same thing. These guys, really, I don't understand. I really don't. And I'm not saying that Joel wouldn't still be healthy. Hey, he could be taking care of himself really and still getting hurt. But are we seeing the the best we could see from your body? Like, are we seeing the best? And at least from my opinion, I'm not seeing peak Joel Embiid. Like Jokic, he's a big dude, right? Does he take care of his body? He does look like he does to a certain extent. I mean, he is kind of a slow motion guy, but he's playing games.
So that's the thing is Joel. Stop me if I'm wrong. Joel doesn't play at a fast pace.
It's slow.
So why is he having the issues that he has? I mean, Jokic plays slow. And if I'm not mistaken, what Joel MVP, he's won an MVP. So I mean, he's got the capabilities.
Did he win that MVP, Rudy?
I want to say he did. I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure.
I thought he missed too many games. Remember?
Oh, I will get it for you right now.
I think Joel missed
most valuable player in 2023.
Oh, okay.
So he is an MVP winner, but he doesn't play fast enough for him to be having these kinds of injuries. I'm gonna throw you this at you because it's going down the rabbit hole. Does he even want to be in Philly? I mean, that to me,
question. I mean,
no.
They're paying him a lot. He's in front of a very intense fan base, to say the least. They just won the Super Bowl. We see baseball; they've won there. Philadelphia hasn't won in a long time, Brady. What, since the 80s, I believe, right, in the NBA. So It's been quite some time. Fans getting restless, and they're not easy, right, on their sports teams. So maybe a change of scenery. I saw Ben Simmons the other night play pretty well with the Clippers.
Ben Simmons is terrible, man. Come on.
Not saying Ben is great, but that's another. Those two guys right there, Rudy. It's just disappointing. At least Joel got an MVP, but Ben Simmons, I mean, who knows?
So, all right, I can't believe we're talking about Philadelphia of all the teams in the NBA. We're trying to help fix the process here, but that's what you get on Sweep the League. We don't always talk about Dallas Cowboys and San Antonio Spurs every damn day.
Cowboys.
Just because we're a San Antonio-based podcast, we don't do that. We talk about everything, but Tim's asking, what's the process of Philly? So you put on your GM hat. I'll put on my GM hat. First thing I'm doing is I'm making calls. I'm asking who wants Joel Embiid and what can I get in return for him? He's on the table. Paul George. Can I get anything from Paul George? That's exactly the first two calls that I'm making. I'm thinking, okay, can you realistically get a late first round or first round pick 3 years from now for Joel Embiid? Is he still worth a first round pick, in your opinion?
Yes, but it's just a caveat, Rudy's. Can he play? Is his mind right?
He has a physical. Let's be honest. So it's going to have to be ahead of time. We can't do the whole Mark.
He'll probably fail a physical.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't really do the whole Mark Williams thing.
I mean, if you're going to scrap that, Rudy, you got to trade him. I mean,
you already have a backcourt of Jared McCain, rookie. He was playing great till he got hurt, and Tyrese Maxey. So, to be honest, if you can move Paul George, Joel Embiid, get some draft picks, get somebody in return, okay, you might be able to salvage something. But Philadelphia, to be honest, they're not winning anything for a very long time. I think the Spurs are on a better path to win a title before Philadelphia. And I can confidently say that.
Does Tyrese want to be there?
He's the man. Why not? I mean, where would he go and be the same guy? I don't think he works in a whole lot of systems, at least in Philadelphia under Nick Nurse. I think he's going to be good there. I mean, Nick Nurse, think about it. The best players under Nick Nurse are offensive-minded guys, especially guards. I mean, who Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard was there with Nick Nurse in Toronto. Bigger than Tyrese, I think, but still, efficient guard. Then you're talking about Nick Nurse having DeMar, um, Kyle Lowry. I mean, I think Tyrese is in a good place right now. I think if I'm moving anybody, it's Joel Embiid and it's Paul George. That's what I'm talking about.
Who takes Paul?
Where does he go?
If is Paul not doing so well? I know he's hurt sometimes. Is he just not in it? I mean, this team is not going to probably make the playoffs, Rudy.
Philadelphia is 2 games out of the play-in right now. They are 9 games out of the playoffs. Well, you can't trade him now. Obviously, the trade deadline's gone and passed. In the summer, honestly, I don't know if anybody in the West will take a flyer on Paul George. Honestly, I don't think anybody would take a flyer on Paul George. I think Philadelphia has really screwed with him.
He signed a 4-year extension, $200 million.
Yeah, $50 million a year.
It almost feels like the team needs to be in playoff contention ready for Paul to be somewhat okay.
To care. I guess is what it is.
If they're going downhill, Paul is just not. He's not worth it.
So could you see him on one of the younger teams, as in Detroit, Orlando, or Atlanta?
Seems enticing. I would prefer Orlando with that kind of talent. He needs to go to a contender, Rudy. I just some of these guys, Rudy, if they're not in a contending spot, they're just like non-existent out there. Some guys are made up of different stuff, but Paul George, I know he was hurt, like I said earlier. He's been out for various reasons, but he's just not zoned in. He's averaging his least amount of points since I think 2011. So I don't know. You could try to trade him, Rudy, but it could be stuck. Joel might be a guy they can move, but
I've actually got a couple of spots I could see Joel Embiid at. One of them possibly being Phoenix. They could use a big man next to Devin Booker, which I don't think Durant stays there after this summer anyway. I think they're going to move him. He wants out, I'm pretty sure. Another team out west, I mean, pairing Joel Embiid with Harden again and Kawhi in Clipperland, the possibilities there. You may want to move him to the Lakers, pair him up with Luka. I don't think that works. I think there's just too much animosity there. Like there's two guys with huge heads that need the ball in their hand. They want the spotlight. But I could definitely see a Clipper, possibly a Phoenix move for Joel Embiid. If you're going to move him out west, out east, you're probably moving him to Washington, to Brooklyn. You don't want to move him to anybody in the top spot if you're not going to get anything in return. So I'm thinking out west is probably where Joel goes. But what's the value? I mean, that's the problem, is what's the value? What do you get in return for Joel Embiid? PG hasn't been the same since he got injured in the Team USA scrimmage game a couple of years ago. I mean, yeah, I think Paul George he can be effective.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, if they're not winning, does he really care?
Yeah. He's just going through the motions. But Paul, I mean, we saw him in Oklahoma City, Rudy. That one year, he took him to the playoffs. We saw him with the Clippers. If he's at a right spot, I think it would definitely be worth it.
Yeah.
But if he's not, plus some of the injury issues, I mean, that's a good check to have coming in.
Well, yeah, $50 million just to kind of hey the whole thing. That's why on the next collective bargaining agreement, they got to put these contracts at question, man.
I don't know.
If I'm an owner, okay, you're getting what, $10 billion in revenue for, I mean, just the TV rights, the TV deal, I think is what it is. So the money's there, and you've got to distribute the money to the players. They are the reason why the NBA exists. It's the players. So I get they get these huge contracts, but they've got to start looking at these contracts because you're getting more Chandler Parson, Luol Deng type deals where these guys have the potential. They can be all-stars. Look at Paul George. Look at Joel Embiid. I mean, we just talked about him. Look at Kawhi Leonard. He rarely has a healthy season, making all this money. And for what? I really think that not only for NBA, but with the exception of NFL, because NFL is a lot more physically, it's a lot more physical and there's a lot of contact. But NBA standards, I think there has to be a Gio, I signed you for $50 million a year. But hey, you got hurt. Okay, no problem. You got hurt. But at some point, it's like, okay, I'm back. Oh, I'm hurt again. I'm back. I'm hurt again. I've only played 25 games out of the year. And it happens more than one time. There's got to be a way that you can rescind some of that contract and get some of that money back.
You know, didn't the NBA used to have the amnesty clause, Rudy?
They did, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they did.
Where they could take a player off the books, but they'll have to spread out the payments.
Kind of like a Bobby Bonilla type thing.
Something along that.
Well, that's what Luol Deng had with the Lakers. He had that contract, and
baseball has. I mean, we see it today. Obviously, the Dodgers seem like every year they're just prolonging someone's contract, but they need to introduce, Rudy. I just don't know if it's going to open up a really bad door here, but you got to figure something out because paying Kawhi. I mean, when was the last? I don't even remember the last time Kawhi was playing.
I know he's played this year.
Yeah,
I can say that, but let me.
He just can't stay healthy. I mean,
before we go to commercial break, because we're going to do a quick
tough,
commercial
Rudy,
break.
because these contracts are all fully guaranteed. So,
and that's the problem is I think you've got to get rid of the guaranteed contract. So, Kawhi Leonard, the most games he's played is 74 games. And that was in 2016, 2017 with the Spurs. After that was the year before he played 72 games. Now, previously, those are the only 2 seasons that he's played 70 games, period. Majority of them have been 68, 168, but a lot low 60s, high 50s, and then a couple of low 50s. So he's played more than half of the games, surprisingly. We just don't see it. We see more of him sitting.
Yeah,
and we don't notice.
It could be the Clipper effect or the Toronto effect, 2 franchises that nobody really cares about. But yeah, you got to do something. They're going to have to change. But the problem is they're getting so much money in these deals. I will say the NFL, if you're listening, Player Association, y'all need to take out that franchise tag. Rudy, a player can be franchise tagged twice. And
really?
T. Higgins, T. Higgins right now might be franchised again.
Save the NFL talk. Let me go to commercial break because I got some NFL tidbits for you here. I want to talk about the T. Higgins thing. This is Sweep the League, Rudy Campos Jr., Coach Joe. When we get back, it's going to be some NFL talk. We got a very quick commercial break right here. On the way back, NFL talk for all you guys out there wanting to talk NFL. Stick with us right now. Sweep the League TV. We'll be back.
Time to react, yeah, shift like a skate. Left, right, lean, that's a bucket in sight. Pull up mid, let it fly, no hype. Fourth quarter ice, keep the rock in my grip. When the clock go red, don't slip, I rip. Fast as alive, yeah, the motor don't quit. Drop 30 quick, now they begging for a switch. Fox in the open, the lane look free, now allow that up. Win B. And running no team, keep pace. Fox got gears, Wendy got grace. Hoop too high, man, you won't touch. New Spurs every year, time to rush. Speed too real, yeah, check that tight. Defenders froze, now they stuck in place. Vision on the court, watch my plays take action. Fast break, hustle, yeah, I'm built to compete. Defense locked in, I'm the soul of the street. Court vision crazy, I'm balling in the zone. Step back, jumper, yeah, I'm cold like stone. 2025 moves my game, got finesse. Leave it all on the floor, you know I'm the best.
You are watching Sweep the League TV. Make sure you subscribe and catch our new videos.
Sweep the League TV with Rudy Derrick and Coach Kia. Let's get back to the live show. You are watching the best in the business.
All right, welcome back to Sweep the League. It's the Wacky Wednesday edition. We got a couple more minutes here. It's going to be kind of a quick show tonight. We'll be back tomorrow as well, probably Friday too. Derek Gervin's going to hopefully be back pretty soon. I keep saying that, but he's having issues with the phone that he's got and his connection, so we'll get all that squared away. But nonetheless, you have Coach Joe, you have myself. So NFL talk, man. So yeah, you're seeing a lot of talk here. T. Higgins is going to be franchise tagged. They're going to pay him. Good God. I mean, I want to ask you on T. Higgins, but I got to get to other things too. You're seeing Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. You know, I think Fields is going back to Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson's going to be a free agent. Latest word is that the New York Jets have interest in Kirk Cousins, so he may be a Jet before it's said and done. Stafford probably on the move. Aaron Rodgers is being rumored to go to the Rams, at least for a season. A lot of bits and pieces. You're seeing salary cap cuts. I think, was it Bosa in the Chargers? He's going to be probably a salary cut. You've had word that Kittle might be, but I think Kittle's coming back. Joe, the NFL is just getting started, and we're going to provide more NFL coverage, but Jamar Chase is up for that contract. They're talking $40 million a year for Jamar Chase. Now, here's a sad thing, man. You franchise T. Higgins. You pay Jamar 40. You have how much money tied up in two receivers? So do you put the franchise before extending Jamar? That if you're T. Higgins, are you waiting till Jamar Chase signs and then you take the franchise tag?
Well, the franchise tag is probably going to be. I thought I saw about 26, 27. That's still high. Like if you don't plan on
for a slot,
yeah, for extending, and I think T. Higgins is a really good player. We'll love to see him in a Rams uniform. But yeah, Reddy. I mean, you think Jamar Chase will probably set the market again? Well,
yeah. I mean, you're talking, what is Justin Jefferson getting right now? Wasn't it 20 or 30? Or was it 40?
I was Rudy, and guess what? Jamar Chase is worth every single penny. I have no. The problem is, Rudy, what are the Bengals been known for? They don't pay anyone.
Yeah,
they had to pay. They had to pay Burrow. You really had no choice. They let Jesse Bates go.
Yeah,
they let Mixon go. So, and what you try to trade Henderson's up for a deal? I mean, really, this team has a lot of other errors. That defense regressed or has continued to regress. I mean, really, why not just trade T. Higgins?
So, 26.2 is the cap hit.
What's the problem with trading him?
Well, you brought up a valid point because trade T. Higgins, you can go get a receiver in the draft. You've already got a number one in Jamar Chase. So you can go get another receiver in the draft. You can go sign one. I mean, I'm not saying anything and I'm not leaning towards a certain way. But if I'm Cincinnati, T, love you, appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and move you. Maybe we can get maybe a third, maybe a fourth back in return, maybe a fifth. But I'm going to focus my eyes on teaming Cooper Kupp with Jamar Chase. I like that fit because for me, Cooper Kupp is the slot guy. He's the Wes Welker. He's the Danny Amendola that you're going to need if you're Joe Burrow. You've already got your deep threat in Jamar Chase. Now, Justin Jefferson, $35 a year for 4 years. So Jamar's about to set the bar high at $40 million a year. But you're right. Trade T. Higgins. Why? What is so
I think
great
Joe
about T.
Burrow,
Higgins that you got to keep him?
Joe Burrow keeps saying, keep the band together. At what expense? And speaking of trades, right? I'm hearing Trevor Lawrence could be a trade target, which is a whole other thing that we could talk about later. But yeah, really, I do think at this point, trade Higgins. I think it's time. I think he's a great talent if you can keep him, but really, you have other issues. So,
and that's the thing. T. Higgins isn't going to solve the problems you have, like at all. And you know what? While we're talking about this, let me bring it up because I'm doing a whole lot of NFL draft stuff, and I know you're not on X and you're not on TikTok following us there, but go to TikTok, Sweep the League at Sweep the League Radio, follow there because I'm releasing the mock drafts that we're doing here.
and I think T. Higgins with Terry McLaurin up there and with the Commanders read would be a hell of a duo.
Yeah, again T. Higgins can be. I mean, if you're Jerry, T. Higgins next to CD Lamb.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not a bad place you can go if you're T. Higgins. You're going to get a good amount of people. This is one of the mock drafts. This one's out to NFL mock draft database, Gio. So in this mock draft, at the 118th pick, I had them taking Jalen Noel out of Iowa State, wide receiver. Again, you trade T. Higgins, you go get a draft pick. You're going to probably get a draft, pick in this year's draft for T. Higgins easily. So you're adding additional picks there. But the draft, the wide receiver draft class is 4 rounds deep this year. You can get a great wide receiver in the 4th round. No doubt about that. So I'm with you. Trade T, get him out of there, and move on. Cooper Kupp's there. Amari Cooper is another guy that might be on the move. Stephon Diggs. I mean, he wants to stay in Houston, but Houston has Tank Dell, Nico Collins. I don't think they're going to want to pay Diggs anymore. So there's receivers out there. But you're right about T. Higgins. I definitely say you've got to trade him. But nonetheless, that's the T. Higgins thing right there. What I want to get to you towards the end of the show here is this. I had a good conversation with our buddy Derek Irvin earlier. Called him, checked on him. He's doing good. He's staying warm. We were talking basketball like we normally do, and I flipped the switch. I said, let's talk about football. I said, I might piss a lot of people off here. And I like doing this to you because you are a football aficionado here. I said, Derek, because we were talking about Micah Parsons. How I don't know if it was said on a show or if it was just Twitter banter or whatever, but someone called Micah Parsons generational somewhere in a conversation. Micah Parsons is not generational. Nowhere near generational. Generational is Lawrence Taylor. Can we be fair about that?
I mean,
you really think Micah's generational?
I don't necessarily think he's a generational player. I do think he's a very good player. And I mean, really, right now, he has 52 sacks.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not Hall of Fame worthy.
He's gearing up and he's in the prime of his life. I mean, double-digit sacks every year of his career, Rudy. Actually, he has 63.
Okay.
No, actually 52. But, so, I mean, that's... Okay, is he generation to the point where he's Aaron Donald?
That's who I was going to bring up. One of the guys I was going to bring up.
At least right now, no. Because maybe in a few years, I don't know. But Aaron Donald's in the class on his own, though I do think Chris Jones pretty close. But yeah, no, he's the term generational, probably not, but is he damn good? Yeah.
Okay. Now, you just said something that I hope Cowboy fans out there can really, really start to think about. If you're going to consider Micah generational, then you're telling me that he's the best defensive player in the game today.
He's one of.
One of. Generational means you are the guy. When Lawrence Taylor was playing, we knew Lawrence Taylor was the guy. When Aaron Donald was playing Gio for a while there, he was the guy. You had no questions. You can sit here and say you question. Can you question whether Mike is the best defensive player in the game?
He's made 2 All-Pros, Rudy. I mean, look, he's is he top 5? Yeah, I think so.
Chris Jones is up there. Who else? Bosa? Would you throw Nick Bosa up there? TJ Watt?
When healthy, yeah. Garrett,
Myles Garrett. So there's 4.
I think Mike is in that list.
You have him at least in the top 5. But generational. Isn't that too big of a word for Micah Parsons right now?
Right now, at least. But like I said, 53 sacks. I mean, if he has another 20 sack season, he could have 100 sacks in less than 10 years. So look, I'm the term generational is, when I use that term, I thought, well, Wimpy, right? Like Wimpy's a generational talent. Micah, I wouldn't say generational, but damn, he is a hell of a player. And I still think the Cowboys should have found a way to keep him, but hey, he could be, as you said, the odd man out.
I mean, I think that's what we're saying. You pay CD, you pay Dak, you go find another defensive player in the draft somewhere. Now, you call about Micah. Now, this is the reason why I'm bringing it up. I told Derek, I don't consider Micah Parsons generational. That's me. I have a higher standard for generational.
I mean, he's on his way. He could end up.
How many years has he been in the league?
I mean, really, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler.
So he got drafted in 2021. So to be honest, he's been in 4 years in the league? 3 years?
4 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pros.
So 4 years in the league. He's averaging, what is that? Am I seeing that right? How many sacks is he averaging? 26, 13 a year?
14 a year.
Right between 13 and 14. That's 52 and a half sacks. So between a 4-year career, that's about 13, maybe 14. 13 is some change right there. So, okay. So he's averaging that right there. Generational again. I feel like if you can't be the best player or be recognized as the best player at your position, it's hard for me to consider you generational. That's just me. I have a higher standard at generational.
Well, so I mean, he out of those guys you listed, Myles Garrett, Watt, isn't he not the youngest?
He is. He is the youngest.
So he's hitting the prime of his life.
So if Dallas trades him, what if he doesn't have the same success? That could happen. I mean, we've seen guys.
I mean, if they send him to the Carolina Panthers, I
actually think he would be good in Carolina. I'm not going to lie.
If he went to the Rams with Jared Verse, I think that would be a hell of a duel there.
Well, think about it. They're kind of pointing him towards the Lions or the Steelers right now. So a TJ
the Lions would be very scary up front, as they already have some scary guys up there.
I mean, you saw what they accomplished with their defense being decimated last year. You're getting Aiden Hutchinson back and a few other guys, a few other starters. You add Micah Parsons, we're going to be talking about the Lions in the Super Bowl. Again, even though they didn't make it, you've got to mention them. But I really feel like you move on from Micah, not because he's not worth it or not necessarily generational now, but you're a Dallas Cowboy team with more holes than you can even imagine. One player, Herschel Walker, Cowboy fans, was able to bring you Super Bowls. Micah Parsons, that's my question for you on the Cowboy standard, Gio. Is Micah Parsons equivalent in a trade to Herschel Walker? Remember, Herschel was that generational guy dominating the league. We went over Micah's stats. Over 13 sacks a year. Is he worth that kind of trade?
I think it's a little. Dallas or the Vikings gave up a lot, right, Rudy?
Yeah.
For
Dallas
Herschel.
got a crap load.
Yeah, Herschel, when he had, I think 88, he had like 1,500 yards. He was kind of going towards the downwards. And I don't want to say spiral, because when Herschel went to the Eagles, actually had a decent run. But yeah, I mean, really, it's probably going to take a decent amount. Draft picks. Maybe a player in there. How about T. Higgins? And a pick
I mean, I would
for Micah Parsons. That's not a bad deal. Though, does Jerry want to pay? Jerry's going to have to extend T. Higgins.
You would think so.
You would think so. So, Dallas has a lot of holes. So, we'll see what they do in the offseason to figure out if they want to. But they're going to have to pay Micah eventually.
So, now that we get off the Micah thing here, let me get to the conversation with Derek. I said Micah's not generational for me. Generational for me is Lawrence Taylor. I said, and Derek said,
well, to be fair, Rudy, that's a tough. I mean, Lawrence Taylor is by himself, though Reggie White was a generational player as well.
So I'm glad you brought up Reggie, because Derek said Reggie's another guy to throw up there. And I said, okay, Aaron Donald, he's another generational guy. And I said, I even consider Aaron probably higher. I have him ranked higher than Reggie White, because a guy that big with that kind of speed, Reggie was fast, but he didn't have Aaron Donald speed. So
no, and I think Reggie was, I mean, for you young people listening, Rudy, go look at his stats. Reggie White was an absolute menace, just an absolute monster. He was 6'5", 290. Aaron's actually smaller than Reggie was. I think he's like, I think he played at 280. And if you look at Aaron's stature, already, if you take his shirt off, he's muscular, but Aaron's not big. What Aaron did at defensive tackle is really unheard of. Now, John Randall in his day with the Vikings was another hell of a player, and he was, I believe he was undrafted, if I'm not mistaken, and one of the best defensive tackles of all time. But yeah, Aaron's, I mean, really, he had the quarterback hits. I mean, Aaron every year, if you go look at Pro Football Focus, top. He's a three-time defensive player of the year. Really could have won a fourth one if they didn't give it to that freaking corner in New England. Was it Gilmore?
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore.
Donald,
and that's what I'm saying.
And he didn't even. He should have started his rookie year. He came in half the season. Freaking dumb Jeff Fisher and who was that damn Greg Williams too as a defensive coordinator. But yeah, Aaron was he was a generational talent.
And that's what I said. I personally, and I will never ever argue with anybody, but I have Aaron Donald over Reggie White, barely, just because of what I saw from both. I saw Reggie play. I saw him with Philadelphia. I saw him with Green Bay. I saw Reggie White. I saw Aaron Donald. So we got to talking to more. And I said, let me ask you two things. And let me give you two statements here. And you tell me if I'm wrong. Number one, had this guy not been killed, he would have been considered the all-time greatest defensive player.
Wait.
And that would be Derek Thomas.
Wow.
And he's like, I can't argue that.
Yeah, Derek Thomas was
So Derek Thomas played 10 years in his career. Ended, sadly, I think he was in a car accident that he was in.
Yeah.
Car accident. But in a 10-year span, 126 sacks in a 10-year span. Lawrence Taylor, who many consider the greatest defensive player of all time, 12-year career, 132 sacks. He would have easily bypassed Lawrence.
And the thing about Lawrence was, Birdie, he won the MVP, which kind of gets lost. And we're discussing.
Yeah.
He's the only defensive player. I think there's someone else too. I forgot his name. The only players who win MVP of the league.
Yeah.
I think in his rookie year, he won Defensive Player of the Year. Lawrence Taylor, not only did he revolutionize the outside linebacker position, Rudy, because if you continue on, you see the different styles, right? Like you had to get an outside guy.
Yeah.
So you have these guys who are tall, lengthy, and you had to get that guy. Rudy, he made sure that you had to have a left or right tackle. Yeah. You had to get a tackle. The Washington Redskins, a team, or Commanders, should I say, the way they play when they played the Giants, they had to run the ball. These teams had to, really, this guy will cause havoc. You saw what he did to the quarterback of the Commanders back in the day. Was Joe it Theismann? I mean, just destroyed his leg. I mean, it was just.
I can never get that image out of my head. What he did to Joe Theismann's leg.
And
terrible.
You can argue he's the top 5 greatest player of all time.
Oh, no doubt about that.
As a non-quarterback, yes, he took the white stuff. Okay.
Everybody did back then, man.
But I don't care, Rudy. He forced left tackles or right tackles, whatever the position. Every team had to have one. When you played them in the playoffs, Rudy, you had to block that guy.
Yeah.
If you didn't, good luck. And he won 2 Super Bowls.
He did. And the crazy thing is like we're talking this high about Lawrence Taylor. And I mentioned Derek Thomas. And if you and I could probably consider Derek Thomas better than Taylor, another guy that was life was cut too short and career cut too short. I mean, along the lines of Drazen Petrovic and all those guys that passed away early. But here's the last point, because I know we got to go.
Well, Rudy, don't forget Bruce Smith, another guy. Yeah, he has over 200 sacks, Rudy, which is when you take a step back and you just think about 200 sacks, I don't know if that will ever be broken.
Probably not. No, I don't think so. Quarterbacks get the ball out a lot quicker these days than what they did back in the day. And, there's a lot more dunk and dinks. There's a lot more screen passes than you saw from way back then. So I don't know if that would ever be touched. But the one thing we're getting on this defensive side, because then I told Derek, if you hang up the phone on me, I won't care. I'll call you back. And, I know you're going to call me an idiot. But he didn't hang up. And I'm going to see if Gio is going to click the off button and leave the studio after I say this. But Ray Lewis is probably one of the most overrated defensive players. That he was covered, and all of his defensive schemes were a part of a Ravens team that was just great defense all around. Ray Lewis gets so much love. He doesn't deserve it. So if you want to leave the studio, by all means, go ahead. But that is my super duper hot take, man.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I think was Ray's kind of pregame, his rituals.
He brought the fire.
He
That's
brought
what he
the
brought.
fire.
He brought the fire, and that's why everybody had eyes on Ray Lewis, because he brought the fire. But I question it. Was he truly the best defensive player on that defense, on Baltimore's defense?
It was probably
Ed Reed was. I mean, you saw what Ed Reed did in that secondary. You saw Terrell Suggs just manhandle people. So I asked him, do you really think he was the best player on that Baltimore team? On the defense, I'm sorry, on the Baltimore defense.
Are you talking about like first Super Bowl, like
Let's
Super
talk,
Bowl run?
Let's talk Super Bowl run where they had Trent Dilfer at their quarterback. That's all defense. So I mean, that's probably the best one to judge right there. Is that one?
I mean, look, you to be great, you do need good players around you, Rudy. I mean, we talk about guys who stand out, and we talk about Draymond Green, right? If Draymond's not with the Warriors, he's probably coaching high school basketball right now. I don't know, right? like it's very possible. But yeah, I mean, listen, I thought Ray had a good career. It's interesting you said that, Rudy, because there's another guy who I felt like had a very good career, comparable. And you know him, that's London Fletcher.
Yeah.
A linebacker that I remember who was just a tackling machine. If you compare both of their stats, Rudy, obviously Ray is, has the defensive players of the year and has the Super Bowl, though London has the Super Bowl with the Rams back in 1999. But if you look at the tackles, Rudy, the sacks, the interceptions, Ray Lewis has more Pro Bowls and more first team. But if you look at stat wise, London Fletcher is right there with Ray Lewis the entire way. But where did London Fletcher play, and what was Ray Lewis about?
Ray Lewis was about the fire, the fire, dramatics.
The dramatics. And does that play into his aura, Rudy? Yeah, it does. It plays into his aura. He did win 2 defensive players of the year, Rudy. Would I call him overrated? No, but I see where you're going with this, because I think he played with a lot of great players. But really, sometimes as a really good player, you hope to play with a lot of great players to make your life a whole lot easier. And when you got T Suggs and you got Haloti Nada right inside, and you have all these guys in the secondary, it does make your job a lot easier. It doesn't take away. Was he the most important player on defense? That second go ahead, Rudy? Probably not. Obviously, he's older. But that 2001 Ravens team, Rudy, was, I mean, go watch that Giants Super Bowl and tell me what the Giants did. It was a annihilation to the highest order. But yeah, I see where you're going, Rudy. I'm not completely against it. I wouldn't say overrated, but
maybe overrated is the wrong word.
But
overhyped,
potentially overhyped. And he did have that. We won't get into it fully here.
That's what Derek said to me. Like he goes, he should have been in jail.
Yeah, we won't talk about it. But I always love to bring the London Fletcher effect, because London's stats are, Rudy, basically identical. It's just London didn't have the defensive player of the year and the all pros. But London Fletcher did make 4 Pro Bowls and 2 all pros. So it's interesting you said that. I'm not completely against it, but a little strong there. But
okay. Well, and that's how I don't know how to word it. If Ray Lewis knocks on my door, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to get a bunch of body pillows to rest my worn down body after he beats the crap out of me. for calling him overrated. Like I said, maybe overrated was a harsh way to put it, but looking at the bigger picture, what I wanted to get at was I don't feel he was the best defensive player on that team. He just got all the love to where everybody else did it.
Yeah, no, I mean, Rudy, it's like I said, he played with, he played with Jamie Sharper. He played with Tony Saragusa.
The Goose.
He played with Peter Bowmore. He played with, Rod Woodson. I mean, there was a lot of guys, especially in 2001, as I'm naming, some hell of, Rod Woodson. The list goes on, Rudy. You're right. In his Super Bowl years, he wasn't the best player, but he was part of that collective team. Yeah. And that's okay. And Rudy, he found a way to win 2 Defensive Player of the Year. By hook or crook, he has 2 of those, and that does mean something.
It does. It truly does, man. It does. And that's what, and that's what I'm saying. I honestly, man, when you and myself and Derek, we talk about these things, it's funny, Joe. I got a direct message, and it wasn't recent. It was probably a couple weeks back.
I've already what I would say Patrick Willis was a better linebacker than Ray Lewis.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would give you Patrick Willis. Yeah. I would definitely give you that. But people one person asked me, why do you guys shit all over players? I responded and I said, we don't. We call it like we see it. We don't mean any disrespect towards players. They've all accomplished everything that they have. And you put it best, by hook or crook. They've got accomplishments. And we're not we can't erase those. We have to take those in consideration. But for what we see on the field, Ray Lewis is a marketing, genius. Masterpiece.
He's a marketing genius.
Is a masterpiece for marketing. And that's why he got so much love. That is exactly why. Because if you go to his stats, over 2,000 tackles, typical for a linebacker. Obviously, one of the best linebackers in the game. You're going to have typically that numbers. 41 sacks. Okay, I'll give you that. But it's the collective thing where when you have LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Ray Allen, one of these guys is going to beat you on any given night. And that's kind of the way the Baltimore Ravens were.
Yeah.
One of these defensive guys was going to have a defensive game, and the other guys are just going to do their part.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on Ray. I think he's a hell of a player. Would I want him on my defense? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But I would probably go with Brian Urlacher. Who's better?
Yeah.
Derek Brooks, with that Tampa defense during that time. I like Derek a lot. Zach Thomas, who I don't hear a lot of his days with the Dolphins. I believe he's in the Hall of Fame now, Rudy. Am I not mistaken? Did he get in?
Yeah,
I don't remember. But Thomas, 5-time All-Pro.
Junior Seau is another one.
Junior Seau.
I mean, you're talking speed there.
So, Ray's mixed in there. But I think what we like to do on the show is just give a different perspective.
Yeah.
And you have to understand when do these players play? What era are they playing in?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? There's a lot of different things. There's no disrespect to Draymond Green, but people, let's be real. If Draymond Green is on the Orlando Magic or the Charlotte Bobcats, I mean, are we really? I find it hard to believe Draymond's going to be what he is right now. But look, he did accomplishment. Kudos to him. He made himself a lot of money riding on the coattails of Klay Thompson and the 2 greatest shooters of our era, Rudy, or even generation here. So, hey, if you want to kill me, go right ahead. Don't kill the messenger.
Totally get it, man. Totally get it. We just keep it real here on Sweep the League, and there's nothing more we can't do, man. We talk about the throwbacks, and tomorrow's Thursday, so we'll probably do some more Thursday throwbacks. San Antonio Spurs are back in action tomorrow. In Austin, Victor Wembanyama is doubtful for tomorrow's game with an illness, but Kevin Durant makes a return back to the University of Texas area in Austin. So everybody's going to be a Durant fan, I'm sure, tomorrow. So that's going to be kind of cool. We'll give you some updates tomorrow as the game happens. But again, tomorrow's going to be Throwback Thursday. We'll probably end up doing more throwback talk because I want you to simmer on something, Gio. And you know what's bad is when I have to make Derek really think about it, hang up the phone. And he was like, I need to hang up and think about this. I want you to think about it overnight. You have 24 hours to think about this and see what you think. Had Larry Bird not had the injuries, he would be the greatest player of all time over Mike. Think about that.
I have a quick answer.
I know you're going to say no.
No.
Well,
and I think the world of Mr. Larry Bird. But Larry said himself, Michael Jordan was disguised as Jesus. Sometimes.
Larry said that. But if you go by the times that Larry was healthy, I mean, three-time NBA MVP. And I think it was consecutive, wasn't it? I think it was
so.
Three-peat on the MVP. I mean, you're talking about a guy who if not for the shin spurns, and also for the back, you're prolonging his career. I mean, when Derek hangs up the phone because he has to really think about it, and he kind of agreed that is a really good take, I'll let you simmer on it. Is Larry Bird considered the greatest of all time had he had a healthy career?
I mean, the back didn't help. I think just a quick kind of, think we got what we were supposed to get. Could we have seen Larry Bird going into later in the 90s? Would have been interesting to see. But Rudy, Parrish is older, McHale, right? If they stay together and they're healthy, do you think they beat Jordan's Bulls in the 90s? If they're healthy, if they,
Well, you got to remember Reggie Lewis was coming on board.
Yeah.
So you have help at the scoring spot. Kind of Reggie and Scotty kind of cancel each other out, with the exception of Scotty's a better defender.
Because Boston did make didn't they make the playoffs without Larry?
Yeah. Well, I think they made it, but he got injured.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that was against Indiana, wasn't it?
I think it was.
I think it was against Indiana. So
they also played didn't they play the Charlotte Hornets too, if I'm not mistaken?
That's another team that we got to talk about.
Alonzo shot that. Did he make that shot?
Top of the key.
Yeah, I think that was the Boston series.
Yeah.
Boston had some good play. It would have been interesting to see. I think really second round, and then I think the Knicks or the Bulls or even the Cavs would probably take them out. But I mean, Larry could still score, and they would have been prominent. But unfortunately, really, with Michael Jordan being in the 90s, but Shaq did get him once, though. The Magic did get the Bulls once.
They did. Think about it tomorrow. And also, another quick question for tomorrow. We'll answer tomorrow. Is LeBron James a top 15 Laker of all time?
I'll think about it, but I'm
gotta think about that one.
They bring a lot of Lakers, though.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Shaq. They're better than him. That's 4 gone. Jerry West is 5. I mean, that's 5 already. So keep that in mind. We'll see if he's going to be a top 10. That's hard to say top 10. Top 15. Can he squeeze into the top 15? Those are going to be 2 of our subjects we got tomorrow. So for Derek Irvin, for Coach Gio, it is Rudy Composure. Until we sweep the league again, we'll see you tomorrow, Knuckleheads.